weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Weird Science Marvel Comics Podcast, episode 75. That is the, what is it called? Legacy numbering, 575. And here we are. I'm here with my man, Matt. What up, Matt?
What up, what up?
What up? And
what up is the Eagles one.
Yeah, what up is our Eagles one.
Yes.
And so everybody can suck it. And I did see people like, oh, man, nothing's worse than the Eagles winning because the Eagles fans this and that. Believe me. At this point now, if you're like me as an Eagles fan, I'm already kind of upset about it. It didn't change my life or anything like that. I'm upset about other things now, but it was nice. Though that game was such a blowout. It was ridiculous.
There's not even words for how much of a blowout it was.
I have watched their last Super Bowl victory, the 2018, I guess it was. But the idea of watching this again, I don't think I will. It was just such a devastation.
I mean, how many sacks do you need to see? You know, I mean,
yeah, maybe some more. I know there are people who just want. The only thing I like was that one point where I'm like, is Mahomes just giving the pouty lip just to be a meme? Because at one point after he got sacked, he gave like the lip thing.
I saw him.
Yeah, it was very odd. Though I think the strangest thing of the night was that Kanye West commercial that made no damn sense, but. With all of that said or done, and I actually messaged you about it, and I think you thought I meant what the hell was the bet that you had, because you had a couple bets and won some money. I was talking about that Kanye commercial.
I must have missed
holy
that.
moly. He's like sitting there getting his teeth done, and he's like, I spent all my money on my teeth, so now I have to film this commercial with my iPhone. Go to my website. I don't know what just happened.
He's got money to burn, that guy.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool indeed. But Eagles won, so take that.
We get a full year of talking crap.
And even still, the worst, though, is that you end up where the Cowboys haven't been in the Super Bowl or the playoffs for so long, but they'll still start yelling that they have more Super Bowl wins and stuff like that. And that's all I care about, the stinking Cowboys. But here we go. And besides that, we have 3 books. We haven't talked 3 books in a while, and one of them being an event, which is crazy. I wish I could say that we haven't talked about an event in a while. And so we'll get right into it. I'll give a little bit of a shout out. If you want to listen to, a bunch of podcasts, get some stuff early, whatnot, you can go to our Patreon, help us out for everything we do here as well with the patreon.com/weird science, and also reviews from our man Gabe, and especially the Marvel stuff at weirdsciencemarvelcomics.com. I know that he is going to be reviewing the One World Under Doom and also Amazing Spider-Man. I have had some people ask if I'm ever going to review, like written review books anymore, and I usually say no. I almost told Gabe that I was going to review Amazing Spider-Man this week, but I decided not to. I'm too lazy. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of want to get back to doing some reviews, because every time I look at these wackadoos doing these reviews, it drives me nuts.
And I do mean
Gabe.
Yeah,
actually, I mean, like this book and we're going to start with One World Under Doom. It's going to get a bunch of 10s, and it does not deserve 10s. I don't think it deserves whatever. Well, you'll see. But before we even start, before I even give the credits here, my big problem with the idea of event fatigue, like people can say and do the math, like, well, we haven't had an event to this, and the last one was, gang war, or we had this, whatever. I don't care. There's been too many events, and I'm beyond even event fatigue. I'm like, I want event death. I don't want events. I think that, and you even said to me before we started, you need to put some time between, because in the meantime, too, we did have that Venom event. I didn't get involved with that.
Well, we skipped that. I didn't read one page of it. And that's a first for me. I mean, I never.
Yeah, and there's been even ones since.
But this is a direct continuation of Blood Hunt, which makes it even more annoying, because from the events of Blood Hunt, we get this. It's like, okay, sure, whatever.
Yeah, so when you get into this, maybe at some point, especially, I think, I say especially Marvel, but DC does the same thing, but maybe they should take a year off from events. The problem is, and it was when Tom Brevoort was talking, when he switched over to be editor for the X books, he ended up, and I said at the time, I give him credit. He was giving the true answer. People
Mhm.
said, are we going to, please tell us you're not going to have as many X books as you did in the Krakoa
He
era.
said, nope, exact same.
He said exact same because that's what the bean counters demand.
Mhm.
So, you sit there and say, okay, well, thanks for the honest answer. Then you think about the answer. You're like, really? Because that sucks. The idea where you're going to push things that you don't even have anything good going on, you're going to push it. Just like I'm sure we have to have an event every 2 months, every 3 months, whether it's a huge thing, crossover, whatever, you have to have something going on. And right now, when people have been discussing the idea of Marvel maybe rebooting, which they don't do, but they could, whatever. I just think that what they should do is you got to get back to the basics. You can't just have events just to have events, and just go back and right the ship all around and make some books and stories that are worth reading. Well, me and you are struggling to even find a book to review, and it's not just because it's bad, it's because they're boring. And I think this is too.
Yeah, I mean, if to your point, like I think, or Brevoort even, like if you looked at how many books Marvel comes out per year, it'd be like the same every year. So I don't know, 1,200 books. And the year before, 1,200. The year before, they just keep doing the same thing just to match it.
Yep.
They need to slash it 75%.
Yeah, and start basic, and
people invest, everybody really cool put the best creative people on it.
Yeah, because and Marvel especially. I mean, DC has the problem as well, but Marvel especially, you just, where do you start if you're going to tell people, hey, you got to read this, you got to read that, whatever?
It's impossible.
It's a bit of a mess.
Yeah.
So when you get something like an event like this, then in my mind, you really have to have a reason for it. You really have to have something worth reading. And the first issue, because you're already, for me personally, I'm not talking, anybody else, maybe you, Matt, but I have to be like, you got to do more than just say, oh, yeah, that's kind of cool. I mean, I am so now against any sort of events and things like that. And then when you bring up Blood Hunt, which was a dismal failure in my mind, you're going to really have to convince me that I need to read this. And by the end of this, it's a lot of people standing around talking. It's a lot of things that we've kind of like, it's not a wow factor that Doom is Sorcerer Supreme. We've known this, and they kind of sat on it for now a year.
Yeah, and we've been dealing with it in Spider-Man too.
And we, since Blood Hunt, that's where it happened. So, and he's just been, and they try to explain the deal. Well, he's in Latveria, he put the wall around, he's just doing his thing or whatever. That's not that exciting. And yeah, he ends up where he goes to Spider-Man, which we'll talk later, and makes Spider-Man do the Sorcerer Supreme duties. And Spider-Man's in this, doesn't mention it. I thought that should have been mentioned at all. And I don't even know.
Or he could be wearing the costume or something.
Yeah. Or how about this? What the hell is Doctor Strange doing? Like, he's not the Sorcerer Supreme. He's not really in anything much at all. And he's just kind of zipping around. At one point, astral projection version in the Amazing Spider-Man, because he said he was busy. This week's, he's just there. It's a mess.
He's taken a demotion personally, this guy. I don't know.
Yeah, it's funny, though. It's like, in this, oh my God, Doom, he's the Sorcerer Supreme. I think there's the one person I'd talk to first about it, and that would be Stephen Strange. Hey, what is he doing here? Do you recognize that spell? They barely talk to him. He's just kind of hanging. They're more concerned with what Squirrel Girl has to say in this, or Captain Marvel. Why? He's the Sorcerer Supreme. Yeah. And I'll tell you go in this. Now I'm mad. The idea when you go into this book, too, you end up having like the bubbles with the people's faces in. These might be the worst drawn figures I've ever seen in my life. Doctor Strange, I don't know where he came. He looks south of the border. I don't know what's going on. I don't want to be hateful or anything.
El Doctor Strange.
Weird. What's that?
El Doctor Strange. That's his name.
Yeah. And I love the idea that, like, Nancy Whitehead, right? Everybody's fan.
Yeah, everybody loves her.
She's so whatever. She's not even in the full frame. Like, she's what? You couldn't get that snapshot quick enough? Oh, yeah. Human Torch looks like he's like I don't even know. He looks like some bald guy. He looks like Xavier. These are bad. Alicia just looks like Alicia. I'm surprised she's not facing the other way. She's blind. There you go. Those are the jokes.
I thought it was that's Alicia. That's not Squirrel Girl.
Yeah.
Are you sure Squirrel Girl's in this?
Yeah, Squirrel Girl's in the bottom. Well, they look the same. Squirrel Girl's there on the bottom. Then you have Alicia. It's like, whatever.
She's not on the character page, which is weird, but anyway, I don't know.
No, she is. Look at her. She's on the bottom left side.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there she is. And again, I'm sure that a lot of people are like, what the hell, Squirrel Girl? Well, Ryan North wrote Squirrel Girl. So there she is. There she is. And Ryan North, a lot of people like the Fantastic Four. It's okay. It's one of the better books. But again, this is the idea of, how low can you go? Anytime you talk about Marvel, in my mind nowadays, you're playing, book limbo, where that's bad, but it's not as bad as that. And it's not as bad as this. And I hate playing that game, but it's at least consistent enough that sometimes it's enjoyable. But those one-shot kind of feel to it, it makes it like it doesn't have any weight to me. And I don't really follow it all the time. But when you get into this, like this is supposed to be a serious event, and he starts, joking it up and whatever. Ryan North's writing. R.B. Silva on art, David Curiel on colors, VC's Travis Lanham. On letters, Ben Harvey, the cover artist. Oh, Ben Harvey. Yeah, so we're going to start with the idea. And I love the idea, too, is where you start out. And this just proves the fact that Doom has done shit about shit since he became Sorcerer Supreme. You don't have to catch anybody up. All you say is, he's Sorcerer Supreme. Boom. You now know everything that has happened since Blood Hunt with him. And they don't even bother to go. But what this is that Doom is going to take over the world, and he's going to end up supposedly tricking everybody. And that's Doom's deal. He's going to trick everybody with, hey, and they even say with food and circuses. He's going to say everybody gets free health care. Everybody's going to be treated well. We're going to do this. At one point, I'm like, sounds pretty good. Sounds pretty good, Doom. Yeah. And so the play of this book, and it's that classic story. We've had it with Norman. Oh, Norman wants to be better. I still think he's goblin. So you have to sit there and wait for him to mess up, and you wait for this. This is kind of the play here, where Doom says, hey, everybody, I'm taking over. Yeah, I'm the new Sorcerer Supreme, but I'm going to end up making the world better. No more wars. Give everybody their things. And then you end up having the heroes just, he's got to be lying. He's got to be lying. And one time I want this story to be that he isn't. I want them to let 20 issues where they're like, this jerk off. And then at the end, they're like, oh man, he's got a lot of cooking skill. And they look at, because what happens is that the people will believe Doom to make the heroes look like jerks so that they're like, no. And then at the end, Doom will do something ridiculous. He'll have a hot mic or something. And then, the heroes are right all along. It's always that sort of thing. I'm sure it's going to be that. Now, if you are wondering, this does tend to go into the politics of the day. It does seem to be playing stuff that's happening here in America. And there's a lot of people out there listening right now that don't give a hoot about that. And I'm saying people from around the world or even here. And that's the other thing that I hope doesn't get too into that, because I like to read comics to escape that. I know that people say, well, Jim, there's always been politics in comics. And I agree. That doesn't mean they're good. And I say this to everybody, just because there's politics doesn't mean it's good. I hope this isn't so on Front Street as it appears to be from the beginning.
Yeah, it does from the beginning, for sure.
And so really, I mean, this is the big event book, but I'm going to tell you, we're getting through this quick, because what it is a lot of yakety yak. Everybody's standing around. Doom announces to the world, hey, look, I'm Doom. I'm going to make everything great. While that's going on, the governments and the military, they're going to try to, stop it.
Yeah, mobilize against them.
That's very ambiguous, the way they set it up. It's like Ryan North wants to play the game of the U.S. government, especially trying to fight back, but he's caught in this thing of who he wants to look good or bad. So it's just like they kind of go to do it, but then they don't, but then they're getting attacked by other people. And then really what really ends up happening, though, is that you end up having, the heroes gather, they think that it's all a lie, and they don't know what to do. Right? They're just standing there, just like, this can't be true. Well, it looks it. You even have at one point where Iron Man's like, there's no way this is real. And then Cap says, well, that flag flying at the White House is pretty real. Like, what are you doing?
Well, I mean, it's interesting. It's a different take in that I guess he's in charge of everybody, but you still have your individual countries and states and all that stuff, I guess, that all report up to him.
He says that I'm putting this in place. Everybody runs. It's almost like if I would say, let the states run the things. Again, it's very, very much what we're having happen here. The funny thing is, as they're sitting around, yakety yak, you end up where Spider-Man says, so do you think these are like Doombots or mind control or something? And they're like, nope, I don't think so. It ends up being Doombots because we get Baron Zemo involved as well. And it's kind of, I don't know.
I mean, because the reality is if you let the states run everything, then there's some wacky stuff's going to happen. So same thing's going to happen with Doom. Some
exactly.
people,
that's what it feels like. It feels like Ryan North is playing the idea of, oh, well, give the states these things and that's all the countries then.
Yeah.
And play it up as, I'm giving you the basics. I'm going to let your life be great, and then we'll see how that works out. It may or may not. I don't know. But, I mean, Doom does care about the people of Latveria. Yeah. So if he goes with
well,
the deal,
everybody's Latveria now, though.
Yeah, and that's what he's saying, right? So, and he's saying that. Now, in that, this is a book where I think you really have to see the people, the lay of the land. And you do see a little, but I think it's just going to be there as props and things like that. And because they end up thinking that it's mind control. And then where you, again, and I don't want to get too into the sides of politics or whatever, but it ends up being that, how can they believe him? And I think that what he's doing is lying. The people won't believe that. They must be mind controlled. No, they're not mind controlled. Oh, no. And I just think this is going to be one of those stories at the end where it's going to be the heroes saying, we have to save people even though they don't want to be saved. And they hate us, but we have to do the right thing. But it just feels like a dud from the beginning because what you get is a lot of people just talking. Mm-hmm. I mean, the scene after scene of just tons of dialogue, standing around just saying, oh, no. And I mean, they talk a lot because Baron Zemo goes in, and if you don't know, Latveria has a bubble around it, very much like the Maker in the Ultimate deal.
Exactly,
but he has gone into this bubble in Latveria, and he's been planning stuff or whatnot. Nobody can get in, but Zemo does. Zemo says, hey, I'm going in there. Hydra, we're going to get this done. And goes in, and then 2 seconds later announces to the world, hey, it's me, Zemo, again. This Doom guy is pretty cool. We're going to join
really
up with
cool.
him. Yeah, we're gonna do that. Hey, anybody love Lady Di, the People's Princess? We're gonna get landmines out of here like we're gonna do all that. And again, that's the thing where I think that what Ryan North wants to play by the end of at least this issue is Doom is kind of right. The idea is like, I'm getting these real pieces of crap to do good things. Yeah, I'm duping them because he killed Zemo. Mm-hmm. And it's a Doombot. But he is getting a really bad organization to do good things, kind of showing that they'll do whatever. Like if you tell them to get landmines, they'll do that. If you tell them to kill the Avengers, they'll try to do that.
Yeah, they're like drones.
Yeah, that's
whatever you need them to do.
Mindless, drones that they'll do whatever Zemo says. But now Zemo's dead, so now they're pissed off. But in the meantime, again, they have to go to Latveria. They're like, we're going to go to Latveria. So Sue ends up making a
Wonder Woman jet?
Yeah, Wonder Woman, a jet airliner. The song.
Steve Miller.
Little Steve Miller band. But she's doing it out of, force fields, and Spider-Man has an issue.
How is it floating there?
I don't know. And this is Spidey has a good point. And even then, you have Johnny's like, yeah, like, we don't have any money and whatever. But it's like, really? Like, this whole thing why are we spending time talking about that? The idea of, why didn't she just get a regular plane and put a force shield around it to be invisible? She's making it. What happened if she loses?
Is it an actual plane that she's making invisible, or is it a construct completely?
He says it's a construct made out of force fields, and he says, why didn't she just get a regular plane?
Yeah,
really, make it a magic carpet.
Yeah.
Just go there. That might be appropriation. You might get in trouble, but you end up like, and that would be I meant Steppenwolf as well with that. So you end up like, why? And this is like a page and a half talking about this. You're at least expecting her to get kind of, oh no, and think, no.
And also, is Tony Stark broken this? Because we got to ask Ruben what's going on with that.
Yeah,
but
we
I
have
thought
to
he
because
was.
they say he isn't, but
I thought he was.
Nah, yeah, I thought his
He's got
companies
money
were
or
taking
something. I don't
over.
know what's going on.
I don't know. Again, these are things. It's an event. You got to kind of don't sit there in an event and talk about the idea of force shield planes because you don't have money. And Tony Stark could have, but we didn't, and we did that.
And why are they flying this plane like 5 feet over the ocean, too, it looks like?
And also, they're in it, but they're not invisible until they get to that phase. There's no reason. Half of these characters fly. Just go. I know
Johnny
you want to make them
saying-
invisible, right?
Johnny was saying, like, hey, Spider-Man, I guess you could parachute, but your parachute has holes in it, so good luck with that.
Yeah,
Like,
and
stuff
I wanted
like that.
Spidey to say, asshole, I got a parachute. Like, I just got a regular parachute. Like, I could still use a regular parachute. Then he's like, yeah, and I could burn off my sweaty armpit bacteria. I'm like, what is this? This is what I'm talking about. If you're going to do an event, you got to do something
sweaty
big.
armpits are being mentioned in the first issue of a major event.
Did you think that this needed some levity? Because I don't even know what the story is yet. So they end up going, and it's Black Widow's there before, but they can't break through the force shield. Thor is going to bang on them with a hammer. I want him to say hammer time. And then in the meantime, they end up, they do blast in, and they're able to find out that Zemo's a Doombot. I love the optics where they're like, hey, patch me in. It's Iron Man. I want to talk to, has
carrying
Zemo's
the head. Yep.
Like right away, there's some people that would have been like, holy crap, what did he do? And he's like, see, but again, this is the kind of weird thing. If you're going to play stuff of the now and kind of, of the politics of the day and the headlines of today and tomorrow, the idea where most people be like, I think this is fake. I don't think that's even real. That's AI. It just, there's nothing to this. In a first issue where, again, I need something to tell me I need to read this. It's not there because all they do then is patch into the world and say, hey, everybody, just for a second, I'm going to tell you that Doom is bullshit. And I'm pretty cool. And Zemo was a robot. And hey, and all it really does is get Hydra to get all pissed off. They're going to fight. Mm-hmm. And then Doom just stops them. And then at the end, Doom's helping this lady. I mean, there's nothing to this.
And
then
he's riding on a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
And
Doom.
then again, it's that Tyrannosaurus Rex and they have the editor's note deal to go with the Fantastic Four deal. But seriously now, I'm not the biggest scholar of Doom, but he looks ridiculous. He looks like a joke in a cloaked up Doombot robot dinosaur. That
it even has the scarred
cool.
up eyes like he does.
Yeah, it does not look cool.
It
looks ridiculous.
It looks out of place.
He would be made fun of. And there he is because it was in the run. This whole thing is bad. It's really bad. You said to me, like, it
just feels like a generic event to me. I don't get, these things used to mean something.
When you show up, like, that's the wow moment.
And you know what also, too, it's like a
robot.
Crappy version of Hickman's Secret Wars where Doom was the Emperor and everything, We've seen this before.
Yep. And the idea of Sorcerer Supreme, yeah, he made a force shield around that, but it's not really doing anything. And again, they're not even asking Dr. Strange, like, oh, what's the magic? Do you think this is what it is?
Yeah, would you have any counter spells or anything?
Yeah, he's nothing. They're like, hey, don't ask the former, the has-been.
Yeah.
Then ask Peter. He might have some things.
Oh, Peter's an expert on the magic now.
He should be. He yells out
he
those
memorized
spells.
the book.
Yep, so... And each person has their little deal. You got Squirrel Girl yelling stuff. It's a nothing. It's a nothing burger,
and like
as
Doom,
they say.
Doom does that thing where he talks to everybody over the airwaves, whether it's a radio or it's an old computer monitor or that bull crap. And then the Avengers do the same thing, and can't Doom block that?
Here's the thing. And Zemo did it.
Zemo did
it, right? And then at the end, the big play of it, like, oh man, I Zemo might be a Doombot. No. Yes, he is. Like, that's not even clever. I think that Ryan North thinks that's clever because it's clever because you think it is that, but then you're like, no, you wouldn't do that. You went generic dinosaur. Ooh-wee. And then, Doom is wisdom. Doom is this. I'll tell you, Doom is boring is what this is. And I think we're done on this show. And I am already angry enough to say that you did nothing. You made me get through a slog. It was so much just yakety yak. As I said, they're just standing around talking and yelling at each other. That's all. That's all they're doing.
This should just be happening within the Fantastic Four books.
Yeah. Does it feel big? because it doesn't feel big
No,
to me.
you're not going to see this in any other comic run, and
No,
unless it's a
except
direct
the
tie-in.
crossovers. Yeah, unless the crossover tie-ins.
You're not going to see this in Spider-Man. Spider-Man's a crossover with this, and you're not going to see One World Under Doom. I'm sure you're not.
No,
when they start that new run,
not good. Yeah, it's not good. What would you give it? I know what I'm giving.
3.5.
Yeah, I'm going 4. So I'm even a little more positive.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: if I go with the idea that we have so many issues in this, I could go down to a 3.5, maybe even a 3, because then you look at this, checklist, and they are going to hit you hard and heavy, because it looks like February and March, and it's just like a million. And here's the other thing that I don't like, and I know that this is what you do, but some people who are reading Fantastic Four, they're not reading the X books, right? There's X books involved.
Yeah, X Factor has no business being in this.
NYX? Really?
Yeah,
like those things. Like, really?
And also too, it really bothers me. Okay, Red Hulk. I like Red Hulk. It's probably coming back as the movie, or whatever. But you're starting off with a tie-in to this.
Yeah.
Red Hulk #1.
That's what that Sword book did back in the day. Reuben, he lost his mind.
Yeah,
He's still recovering. I think the second issue of that was involved in a X event. So.
But like Doom Academy #1 might be funny or fun. I don't know. I usually like those Academy things.
Again, because if you remember in Blood Hunt, Doom went and got the kids.
Oh yeah, he has those kids.
Gotham, I was going to say Gotham Academy, but Strange Academy.
Strange Academy.
He has the Strange Academy.
He's got a group
kids.
of those kids. Yeah.
So I mean, if they end up doing it and they do it right, that might be okay because they are the kids. But I don't know.
Depends on who's writing it.
Here's the thing, though: the Sorcerer Supreme, the trick of him getting sword, that still feels like nothing. And then to make this book, but One World of you didn't need to have that. Like he could have done this anyway. So it's just,
and it's only 2 issues of this, unless this is just a partial checklist, which I fear it might be.
I feel it might be too. I ended up where when I said we have these 2 months, I think there may be more.
Probably like 5 months
because you would expect there would be like One World Under Doom. I don't know what they'd call it. Dinosaur Troubles would be the end. You probably have a big, oversized finish as well. So
we're just starting this thing.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, I have flashbacks of dark droids. Yeah, but that's not good. I wouldn't suggest. Well, I actually will suggest everybody maybe read it. And maybe they like it. Maybe you'll like it, but give it a shot and see if you like it more than us. I was bored, and that's the worst. It's one thing to be angry, but when you're bored, it's a comic book. You could do it. You have an unlimited budget, all this, and you have these characters standing around talking almost the whole entire issue. It's so bad. But we will go to the next one that's not going to get any better. It is The Amazing Spider-Man #67. It's the 8 Deaths of Spider-Man. I'm telling you, this feels like it's been going on for 10 years, doesn't it? It just feels like it's never ending. I don't know if it ever will. It's Justina Ireland. Again, just to point out, we have like Justina Ireland's issue slightly better. Again, we're playing Limbo again. Slightly better than the Joe Kelly stuff. But Andrea Barcardo on pencils. This is very cartoony. Scott Hanna on inks. Colors by Marcelo Menez. Nico Hendrickian on flashback sequence art. VC's Joe Caramagna on letters. And there are more people involved in this book than there needs to be for such a nothing story. And again, I wasn't bored with this, but I rolled my eyes because this is still, we're this many issues in. We still don't know really what this contest, you can tell me, well, of course, the idea, but if you really put a gun to my head and say, what exactly happens if they lose? And how do they lose? Because to me, Spider-Man quit. Done.
Yeah, he's quitting every issue. He's still doubling down on that.
Jalen Hurts decides he ain't playing the Super Bowl. I cannot run out of the stands and join in, whether I like to or not. It's not happening. So when they jump in, and then the play then is like, oh, you're not the champions. Instead of saying that's again, it's you aren't good enough. And I'm like, so what you can do, as we said, like, why don't they at this moment, the X-Men called the event, everybody that was in that Doom book, minus maybe Alicia and Squirrel Girl, get them all in. Like, you just gang pile on them and just defeat them, because obviously. And
Spider-Man could be standing there, just off to the side.
He's somewhere. He's on Earth, quitting. But so you end up having this deal, and the big play of this was supposed to be, in my mind, oh, Juggernaut's there. So there he is. He's got the armor. He's doing this, but it just, everything fell flat because you're so convoluted in things. You have the X-Men. They don't sound right. You end up, they're going to plan. You have Cyclops. He's like, hey, we'll do this, this, and this. Let's do it. And then you have Quentin's like, hope everybody has car insurance. Like, shut your
just
mouth.
Whipping the cars around.
Yeah, just whipping around. You want slippery?
It's your
Let's
fault,
go.
dude. Can't you throw something else at them? Like, does it have to be the cars?
It's the best. Like, I hope they have insurance because I'm going to wreck all this crap. Yeah, and then, flank them, and they're going to try to get this guy. Now, he starts laughing, but by the end, they kind of do defeat him, but then he gets up. There's no rules. So who has to die here? Because we were told that the Reeds were basically because the cost of fighting a scion, pretty much a godlike creature, it always needed to have dead. But again, everything is so up in the air and whatnot. But wouldn't it have been some weight to it where Spider-Man then sees that Quentin dies? I know that you don't want to mess any other books up or not, but Peter has, said, I'm sitting this one out. It'd be like me again. I come out of the stands in the Super Bowl. I'm getting destroyed. I will probably die.
You would
and
die.
then
Yes.
my blood's on Jalen's sands.
Yep.
And so there's the way, but nothing. No. And Peter doesn't care. Even as Doctor Strange says, they're out there fighting, whatever. They're doing the good fighting.
He's just getting busy with Black Cat. That's all he cares about.
Yeah. Yeah. So the big wow factor again is, supposedly it would be Juggernaut, but there's hardly anything to it. They just yell. And then in the meantime, Peter and Black Cat have knocked boots. Again, I don't mind that.
No.
It's fine. If I was Peter and I had a choice between fighting scions and fighting for belt buckle, I'd be going against that belt buckle every day. In the meantime, you go off to Sidorak too while they're watching this.
This guy's just sitting on this throne.
I love Sidorak where you have the deal.
Look
and
at his stupid smile and everything.
Oh, it's so ridiculous. And then like, hey, Earth's champ, this is like his emissary deal. Hey, Earth's champion did not show. Will you declare the covenant nullified? Or will you let him fight? And he's like, and you think that he's saying something. That's the continuation of the
smiling? What's he doing?
I don't know.
What a
It looks like I don't know. He looks like he's like,
and there's nobody like the fact that he's 100 times bigger than his kids. Like, it's just,
he's there. Look at him.
1,000
I
times
love
bigger.
the
I don't
idea
know.
is watching this thing. They're all watching it. And it's like they're watching the Super Bowl here, right? And like,
yeah.
Hey there, Sidorak, what do you think? Who's going to win? Like, why do we talk to this guy?
Why are we even bothering with him? He's not giving us any feedback.
No, he's just
he's
there,
not telling me he loves me or anything.
Was he laughing or is he mad? Like, I don't know. I haven't been able to figure this guy out ever. So even then, it's funny because you'll end up having our one scion that just continues through this whole deal. He keeps like, Father keeps. I think he might just be reading him wrong. Like he keeps saying things like, Father doesn't do this. He's not doing shit. He's sitting on that throne.
That's because he doesn't talk, so everybody has to jump to conclusions about what's going on.
Why don't they do the whole like Chewbacca type thing, or even like the best? It's like, hey, at one point, legitimately, you did have, I guess, Kyra Kim. She said, "Hey, Daddy, if you think this guy's bullcrap, don't say anything." And he didn't. And I laughed when we were talking about it. But that's what I'd do.
I mean, or how about this novel idea? Have him talk.
Yeah, have him talk. I love it. I'd be like, hey there, Daddy, if you want me to be the champion, just don't say anything.
Don't say anything.
Just don't complain because you want me to be it. Right? He didn't say anything, guys.
Don't
me.
blink.
Yeah. Or like make a weird face.
Show us those teeth.
And that's the best. He isn't making noise because you don't even have any noise or whatever.
He's making a noise though when
is he laughing? Smiles. Actually, what I think he's doing is farting. I think that he's been eating. This is like it's now Thanksgiving
farting.
Day.
I think he's going a little further than that. That's his toilet he's sitting on.
He's there on the toilet. And they're like, do we have to sit here? Please. I'd laugh if one of them came out with this big roll of toilet paper and he's like, no. And he uses his hand. Disgusting. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's like, hey, they're fighting, you watch it, and you have this going on. And when we had all these scions and things like that, at least at one point, I did know their names kind of. You barely name this one until
there's still so many more to see. There's like a bug one, some other guy that looks like
sitting there. I don't know. Yay. And then I'm like, look at all this crap. Like, you would expect he's like Sidorak would be sitting like with a lot of gold and stuff around him. First off, it looks like these boots are Crocs. Then he ends up having like don't nobody get near my pile of skulls that I have here. And also this giant skull that looks like it would be like a dragon. I love this stuff. He's a collector, he is. But this is all just to fight the X-Men. They just yell and like, oh, I guess we're in trouble. Juggernaut's having some issues. And you have the Scions like, you're barely anything. You're a little dust, a Sidorak. I'll beat the crap out of you. While Aunt May's just losing her mind. Everybody get into the feast
coming up.
Center.
Feast, man. Feast.
She's like, that'd be funny. She's like, I tell you to go into feast, but that no good nephew of mine didn't get that check. But yeah, they're running in the feast. And this is where I really thought, like, you're trying to have like a big battle. This battle, you could never take it seriously. First off, they end up in the middle of it. You're at a bouncy house thing with kids bouncing around. And it just looks like an animated series or a cartoony type deal. The art's too cartoony, especially when you have a big battle. And it's supposed to be a cool thing with Juggernaut. Not that cool. And so you have this guy and it's like, hey, and he just, Juggernaut, here's my, thing of his dialogue. Shut your pie hole. That's what he keeps yelling. So,
yeah, pie hole.
Yeah, he keeps yelling. And then in the meantime, Peter is sitting there. I do think that plant over his shoulder is definitely pot.
Mm-hmm.
He does. Is it just me or he seems high as shit?
He's got a wake and bake going on here.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like already he nailed Black Cat. He gets up. He's doing some bong hits, and he's just sitting there like, whatever, bro. Because Doctor Strange comes in, and it's actually Doctor Strange. And at first, I thought that might have been a mistake. But he comes in, he's like, I'm up to other things. But I'm here. I wish that he said like, oh, I'm up to One World Under Doom, even because Peter's in that or the old snafu. But he comes in and says, Peter, we need to talk. What's that, bro? You just going to repeat shit that you're doing again? Because I'm coming up with these wacky theories about aliens and stuff right now because I'm high as shit. And he's like, no. The world's going to end. Like, I got to talk to you about this world ending. Now, this is the problem is, we never really got told a lot of what would happen. At one point, I think it was Kyra, somebody came, one of the Scions did say, we're here, and it doesn't make sense because most of the time it feels like the Scions are trying to win so that they can kind of take Sidorak's place and end up doing that. But then one of them did say earlier, when we win, that means that Daddy comes and turns the Earth into a hellhole. So it's kind of been said, but also the idea, here's the basic thing to at least Peter to know. If you lose, we all die. But we already know that Peter's going to say he doesn't care because, the inevitability of death and whatnot. Yeah. Don't worry that Aunt May will go through, a year and a half of just supreme torture before she ends. Because if you end up having Sidorak find out, oh, that's the champion, like that. Or, somebody's just going to have the worst time. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. And you have Doctor Strange.
It's not believable.
It's just not Peter.
Yeah.
And I mean, here's his dialogue.
He would fight for somebody to have 5 more minutes on Earth, not let alone, all these people dying. For
them to all have one more day.
Yeah, there you go. You did it.
So you end up where Doctor Strange says, I should not be here as there are other world-ending problems I need to attend to. That's definitely one world. And that's the other thing, too. All this is happening, and Doom did nothing, but that he's doing everything in that other.
He just outsourced it, which is something big just to.
He says, I need to attend to, but I have to tell you about the Blight now. Okay.
Oh, God, the Blight.
Here's the thing. The Blight were those worms deal that looked like the Sarlacc pit. That you ended up having one Scion going on. I forgot his name. We'll get to it in a minute. But he ends up where he's like, oh, no, run. Don't run. I'm going to run. See that, Daddy? Boom. And now he's going to come back. But it's like, I got to tell you about the Blight now. Why the hell didn't you tell him about the Blight before? This is what was locked up. This is part of the contest. The idea that you're going to get, not rules. You're going to get like the idea of what this is about now. This many issues in to tell Peter to try to convince him. But why wouldn't you have told him this at the beginning? And you did tell him that it would be the end, but this Blight, they'll destroy everything, whatever. And it just pretty much skews everything out. And you don't even care about the event. What is the important thing here? Because this contest is not important. You see, you don't even have to be involved and it doesn't end. We have people saying they didn't lose, but they did. Then they do this. Then Peter dies, but he's okay. All this. And he says, this is classic Peter. Doctor Strange was like, everybody's going to die. They're going to die horribly. What do you say about that? Pass, unsubscribe. Who says that? What would happen if you ended up saying to me, hey, do you want to do a podcast about something else and whatever? And I said, pass, unsubscribe. You'd be like, who the hell are you?
I want to unsubscribe from this book.
Yeah, really. You're like, I really don't want to do anything with you. And by the way, the things we're already doing, I'm out. But he's like, oh, and then Doctor Strange again starts using his magic that I don't know what he's got now. But he ends up, doing this.
Seems to me like he has all the same stuff he ever had.
It doesn't matter anyway. He's just, basically, he's like whipping Peter around, right?
Yeah.
His cloak. So then you go, and that's what you have.
Man,
it's bad.
You know what? Also, too, I'm thinking it's infuriating me right now is there's no Spider-Man in this. It's Peter Parker. Not Spider-Man's not in this.
Why can't we have a book that has Spider-Man in it?
This is an X-Men tie-in, dude. This is bad. I can't read an Amazing Spider-Man where freaking Amazing Spider-Man's not in it.
And you can say that it's Justine Ireland, so don't worry, Joe. This
it's
seems to be
her.
Joe Kelly's story. This is bull.
The editors,
nonsense.
Marvel, and all of them.
It's terrible. It really is terrible.
Yeah, it's bad. It's very bad.
And I always say, if you like it, fine. No, you can't like it. If you like this, stop reading. Just go and find another hobby. It's so bad. So you end up having this other Scion, the one that, the brother of Kyra. At least I remember her name. Mm-hmm. And he ended up that blight, which never was explained. He has the hellhounds with him, and he's kind of getting
white,
weird
skin,
organic
bubbly
deal. And yeah, he's all crazy. And he's like, I see now my true strength. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
He's got an infection. He's got like gonorrhea or something. I don't know what he's doing.
He does. Is his hair purple? Because that's the first stage. I'm telling you, he's like, I don't know what happened, but I spent the night with David Lee Roth and Tommy Lee, and I don't feel right. So he ends up where you have this flashback art. It looks cool. That actually looks pretty cool. But all it's saying is, hey, by the way, this thing that nobody likes that we've been dealing with for now months, I'm going to tell you how it kind of started. Does anybody care right now of the idea of, well, the blight was around, and the blight's still very ambiguous, and then we put it in a casket, and then we put it, and that's kind of what we're fighting about and doing all this. I'm like, it still doesn't make sense. And so Peter's like, no, pass, unsubscribe, screw it. He's like, I don't understand what you're saying, Strange, but doesn't matter. We save people from that. Something as bad or worse comes anyway. And then he says, snap out of it, asshole. And it's, Nick Cage. And he's like, we got to do this. They'll lose. Whatever. I wish you and all the people luck, but I'm done, bro. And that's it. And so you don't get Spider-Man, but you get just crap. And then you end up where Kyra was watching. And she did seem like she had lovey-dovey eyes. She was probably in the closet watching him and Black Cat
definitely.
Bang.
Yeah, of
right?
course.
They're doing that probably. And for some reason, Paul was probably there and doing stupid shit too. So
he's monitoring it from
all
afar.
This is going down. Now, this is where, again, if you want to see that there's no wait, first off, Aunt May, you said everybody getting a feast. She's still out. They are 2 feet away from Juggernaut, running towards the Scion, where Cyclops is also optic blasting them. And they're just like, hey, we got to get like,
and it's Randy and Shay, too. It's like, it's why?
No, I don't know. And they end up where they do end up kind of defeating this Scion who said he could never be defeated.
The
and
gonorrhea
then the other guy
comes
kills
and
him.
punches him through the chest.
But he even
and kills
says he yields. He even yields before that. He says, I yield. You
Doesn't
may
care.
have won this day, but no, there's not this. This is like the idea that we're in the final four. And we lose. Me and you are playing North Carolina. We lose. And I say, we'll get you another day. They're like, what the hell are you talking about? This is a tournament. You're done. Sayonara, sucker.
Yeah.
You're done.
See you next year.
Yeah. So, really, I better go get some recruits here. So you end up where then this other guy, boom, kills him. Kyra then is very upset. Oh, no, I watch one
sense a
brother
disturbance
die
in the Force.
and another. Yeah. Yeah, and it's Kalex. I shouldn't have forgotten Kalex. Again, these names are barely said anymore, and they are not memorable at all.
They should have them on the front with the bubbles.
Yeah, they should. And they should at least, say, hey.
Each of these dogs should have a name, too.
Kalex. Well, there you go. Bud and Lou. These things, they look like they're straight out of Half-Life. That's what I thought.
I think Stranger Things when I see them.
Yeah, that too. This is just boring things. So you end up where then they're like, hey, let's go fight. Now the X-Men are going to go and fight these new guys and whatnot.
There should be an X-Men book. Ruben and Jason should be talking about this.
That's where Kalex can, really. Kalex, he stops Juggernaut and tosses him. And then it's like, hey, do you see this, Father? Are you entertained? And, it's Kratios we hardly knew ye Kratios. And there's Kyra who's like, no, Kratios can't be. He cannot die. Oh, mortal. I'm like, who cares? Nobody cares.
There's no
we
stakes.
Don't know these characters.
He's not dead.
Yeah, that and the idea,
he
are we supposed
too.
to be upset? Well, it's like, you got to eat a reed. And he goes and grabs Reed Richards and eats some reeds down. And then again, we go back to Aunt May. You guess what she says? Everybody in feast. That's what she keeps saying. And then you have devil dogs. And I hope
those devil dogs treats get in there and wreak havoc on that feast center.
I hope it's just destroyed. And Peter, thank God. That's all Peter's waiting for.
I love
He's not going to step
destroyed.
in until Feast just gets destroyed. He's like, I'm sick of hearing this Feast shit all the time. Also, by the way, Devil Dogs, one of the worst snack cakes ever. I never liked it. They're so dry.
Who makes that one?
I think it's Hostess.
Debbie,
it's one of those deals. Yeah, it's not. No, Little Debbie. And when I was growing up, Little Debbie kind of got a little bit of a bad, almost generic reputation. And then later, I think people realized, you know what? That Star Crunch kicks ass.
Those Star Crunches are good. I think that Hostess, the comic books, that's the only reason anybody knows about those. I mean, the advertisements in the 70s were crazy, right?
And then you have a lot of the stuff like, what's it called? Around Tasty Cake and stuff around our area.
Yeah, Tasty Cake's superior to those. Yeah.
I mean, the Tasty Claire might be the best treat ever. And I can only eat
butterscotch crimpet. That's what
they're okay. I actually like the jelly crimpets.
I like those too. They have a little bit of an alcohol taste to them.
Yeah, they do. And I'm not a drinker, but I don't mind.
I always felt that was weird. I don't know.
I do like the Tasty Claire is really good. And for the longest time, I thought that my old boss was insane. He always liked the lemon pie. I'm like, why would you get that? And then I had one. I'm like, that's pretty good.
Yeah, lemon pie.
Pretty good. But there you go. I'd rather talk about Tasty Cakes.
I like Entenmann's too. Those are good.
Yeah, Entenmann's is good. They have an Entenmann's cake that was like a sugar-free cake back in the day that I would, after a hockey game, I'd eat an entire cake. It was great. It was like marshmallow and
sugar-free.
Oh, it was so good. But what would you give this?
This one's going to go, I'm going to go 3. I don't like it, man. There's no Spider-Man in it.
Yeah, and again, there's a guy who's moping around. And even then, before, at least he was part of the story. Now he is just sitting on a couch saying, no, thanks, unsubscribe. He's not even anything to do with the story. And obviously, something will happen. Shay will be grabbed, Mary, whatever it would be, Black Cat, and Peter will get his groove back. He'll snap out of it and go. But this is where I think that these writers, they're horrible with this. They don't understand that at that point, like Neil Young said, it's the needle and the damage done. Peter's already a dick. It is not going to change your idea of how he acted in the story if at the end he does what he should have done all along. You can't deflate something to then inflate it back to normal and say you did anything.
No, because the damage is done.
You went back to the status quo, and what you use for tension is to make something so forced that would never happen be the thing that it doesn't work out. And I don't know, the contest is nonsense. It means nothing. The Scions are all just standing around. Sidorak's taking a big dump, it looks like. And now we have devil dogs, and not the treats, but also the what's it called? What is it? The blight?
Yeah, the blight. It's just a generic term for like something that causes like something bad to you.
Like gonorrhea.
Yeah.
You end up where in this, like, you start a story off, and obviously you build on a story. This never had anything. It's a foundation of sand. Everything's falling apart. Never was there anyway. There's Shay. Who do you think? You think Shay gets grabbed and Randy gets? I think he reacts more for Randy. I think Shay's out.
Yeah, Shay kind of gave up on her for some reason.
Do you think that maybe Shay and Randy get together?
Yeah, maybe.
They said actually that it's been announced that Shay will be on Janice. I mean, I thought she got killed like 7 times. So, you don't want to deal with her father. But you end up where they did say that Joe Kelly announced that Shay would be the girlfriend. in the run. So even then, you have him having sex with Black Cat for
He's
no
going to
reason.
save her, and that's going to rekindle the relationship.
Why have that thing? Did that? I know a lot of people want Black Cat and Peter to be together, but did that do anything for you that they just were nailing each other? It's just very weird.
No.
Yeah, I thought they were going to say they were friends with benefits too. Because at one point, like, what are friends for? I guess that's what they're for. I need more friends.
Peter demands an open relationship. That's what he demands.
Yeah.
If you want to be with me, Shay, you know what you have to do.
And she's like, unsubscribe. But yeah, I'll give it a 2.5.
There you go.
It's not getting any better. It's
That's
really bad, but we'll go through.
I mean, and then this Spider-Boy we're going to talk about next at least has a tournament that we can understand.
Yeah, because here's the thing. If you're going to do a tournament, just do a tournament. Everybody knows a round-robin tournament.
There's some hiccups that news twist and stuff, but,
There is the weird play of this is we thought it was – there's an extra round at the end that I didn't see coming, and it's weird. But, again – Spider-Boy is a book that really doesn't have to have stakes, right? And Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man should. And when you're doing this, Nick Lowe, I mean, the best thing that Nick Lowe has done in the past couple of years is push people to read The Ultimate Spider-Man, which we don't get a lot of Spider-Man there either, but it is still better. But we're going to go to the last book. It's Spider-Boy number 16, The Dragon's Challenge Conclusion. And it says Spider-Girl Triumphant. It's a pretty cool cover. And again, when we go into this book is not an earth-shattering book. It's not a mind-bender. It's not supposed to be huge or whatnot. What it does is have a fun little story that is all ages, and it runs through Bailey, but not in a way to elevate him. It runs through Bailey because he is kind of a little I'm not even going to say he's a jerk anymore. You know what he is? He's an accurate portrayal of a kid who has superpowers. This would be, well, my kids would probably do worse, but it's like a kid who has superpowers who wants to be important and then just keeps running into bad situations and things like that, but bad situations that are kind of fun. And the big thing here is Holkette, who is just waiting to just beat the living crap. And I'll tell you, when people probably roll their eyes, I like Holkette. I like Spider-Girl. I hope she goes back to what was it, Funhouse?
Yeah, Funhouse.
I want her to go back to that, which she may. And I actually like the lighter tone where it becomes like it's a book with a bunch of kids. So what you end up kind of doing is the adults are kind of like morons at points. Like Daredevil kind of messes up at points and seems off.
Well, it's realistic. I mean, adults aren't perfect. I mean,
and I just like that it runs to the kids, and it's almost like, oh man, these parents just don't understand.
Yeah,
Will Smith. But the tournament was over. You end up where they lost, and it's because if you listened to us or you read the issue, Daredevil had to end up, forfeiting. And get this, when you forfeit in a tournament, that means you lose.
Yep.
Unlike in, the Sidorak shit that we just talked about, because we said Bailey was about to get killed. I mean, it was a big thing. They didn't really show it, but he was. Bullseye was going to kill him.
He's got the crap.
He's really the crap. So you end up where Spider-Girl and Bullseye are, hey, we did it, we won. And that it's funny because the big play was the world ends. Oh my God, this is going to be the worst. But you forget Holkette's now in, because once you're out of the tournament, you no longer have the Gaping Maw monks protecting you. And she jumps right in.
Yeah, and it's really cool too how her powers work. They charge up.
Yeah, and it's explained in a way. I mean, she just says it, but we get it. She says, "I'm not," because you have Matt grabs her and says, "You can't hurt Bailey. Like, come on, calm down." Almost like breaking two kids up in the schoolyard, not realizing that Holkette is really powered up right now, because she says the longer she waits, it builds up the gamma punch, and she's been waiting. She's been waiting this whole time. And I'm telling you, it's so funny that she just waits for the winner, and she just pounces.
She's not messing around.
No, and she keeps yelling the same thing, and Bailey keeps mentioning, like, I know, punch me to the moon. And the funny thing is that, and Matt goes, I think she can. Like, this is really powered. You better run, which he does. And she's just going like, give me a clear shot. That's all I need. She is so angry because of her and Enormo weren't in the tournament because they kind of stole that deal.
They would have won probably, these guys.
Yeah. And the best too is, while this is all going on, most of the people, Spider-Girl, everybody keeps saying, and you get that monkey too, that Bailey only really does have one move.
Yeah,
he bites you. And he doesn't want to, but that's his move. And they keep saying, like, this guy got that far with that one move, and they're so upset. But this is where we saw Bailey grab those rings that were Spider-Girls and saw that Bullseye's going to kill her. And I like the idea that Matt found that out. And instead of trying to stop that, he uses it as a way. And I even like where Spider-Girl, I think it was, he's like, I think we just changed genres because it becomes a courtroom procedural where you have Matt say, and Matt's a lawyer.
Like Law and Order all of a sudden.
And he even says at one point, Bailey's like, you're supposed to be smart. You went to college. He's like, and law school, by the way. and so he ends up saying, because he knew and was told by Bailey about the killing, that means that Bullseye probably does have that card that he saved that he was going to kill her with. And so he says, you can't have weapons. That was spelled out. It was a hidden weapon, so it's null and void. And that's Matt just needs at this moment for the contest not to go to Bullseye, because the winning deal is the idea that you get to control the gaping mouth, and Bullseye will just make, bad things happen with them. So this is where it gets a little wonky, though, because you end up where Bullseye's disqualified. He's all mad, but now you need the tournament to continue. But it's also the idea that out of nowhere, Matt says, oh, and by the way, this gaping mouth, the lady, this Miss lady, she's really bad herself. And we got to stop her now. And so they need a team, and Bailey ends up teaming up with Spider-Girl. Spider-Girl, actually, but in the meantime, Matt kind of wants that to be, because that's the only way that Bailey's going to survive Hulkette, because needs, Spider-Girl.
Yeah.
It works out. It's very well. The funny thing, though, with this, in my mind, is that Matt keeps running away to take care of things. Like, I got to chase Bullseye. But then he keeps having to go back, and everybody knows it. So it's like, you can't do this. You got, damn it. And he goes back. But you have the play, and you do have Hulkette. She's mad. She still wants to hit Bailey. But once he says, I'll team up with Spider-Girl, back in the tournament, and the gaping mouth.
It's a good choice, teaming up with her. Yeah.
And then Bullseye just gets away. It's what it is.
Yeah.
Gets away the deal. So with that, and yells Hornhead, and all the classics. So we go then back to the States, New York City, and that's where Boy Spider goes into the room. And I'm like, okay, Bailey does like Fast Car Family 7, but Dazzler, like, come on,
sus.
Come on.
Yeah.
Though I do like Blackpink, and it's kind
and he's
of
playing with the fire trucks still.
Yeah,
whatever
he's got the fire trucks there.
He's got a couch in his room or a chair.
This kid has.
That's the dream.
Here's the thing, too. Remember when the whole play was he had no money at all? Was he a Rockefeller?
Well, this is what I was saying. He's living above the Feast Center.
Yeah.
So he's probably paying Aunt May rent or whatever.
Aunt May rent. I mean, seriously, if everybody doesn't go up to this room, they're missing out.
He's living in Manhattan, prime real estate, this kid.
Yeah, just above a soup
East
kitchen.
Village of all
and
places,
too. Yeah, it's a nice place. Look at this thing. He's playing with the fire truck.
He's got a garage door in his room.
That fire truck just seems, it's weird because he's above. It's like he opens it up and falls down. Looks like that fire truck, like you're going to get like a Kevin McAllister situation. Somebody's going to slip and fall. But and you end up where Boy Spider, like, not fair. Stupid Bailey Briggs gets all the nice things.
He's right.
And he is. And the mom, Bailey's mom's a jerk and continues to be in this, because all of a sudden then it's weird. He's like, oh no, my arms, what's going on? And the funny thing is I thought he was turning more into just a full out
But it's
spider.
the opposite.
Yeah, he's turning into a real boy.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, what is happening to me? And by the end, we see that he is turning into a boy, though does not look like Bailey, but Bailey's mom thinks it's Bailey because she's a piece of crap that doesn't know her son. So, the idea that everybody forgot Bailey, I don't think his mom ever knew him. But you go back to Marjapur, and they're going to have the tournament, but now they have to fight this Miss, the head of, again, it's added on. She starts fighting them that she's a mist, and you just kind of solve it in a weird way, because you end up where Bailey's yelling, grab powers, like grab the mist powers. And, she doesn't have eyes.
She doesn't have eyes.
She does. No, she doesn't. And then we already saw the gaping mouth, but they're kind of hiding their deal. What you have happen then is Spider-Girl grabs Hulkette's powers. Doesn't work for me. The idea of a powered up, like I spent 2 days powering up, she copies powers. She does it, and they even said
the charge carried over though, somehow.
But the charge it makes no sense. But in a book like this, I'll let it go, because that's the way that Hulkette then can't punch Bailey to the moon. It all works out. And I actually thought by the end, I thought that they should have really went to Holcat and said, you actually saved the day. The idea that you charged up for 2 days, if you didn't do that and almost give her the win. You're the one who wins, but it's Bailey because they win and the whole thing of, and even at the one point, Spider-Girl says, oh no, I see now that all those memories were fake and Spider-Boy was, and it just kind of switches like a light switch on, off. It's fine. But at the end,
and then
Bailey,
he bites her.
Yeah, bites.
And so he's the winner because
that's all he does. He bites her.
That disgusting mouth.
You get the punch and then the explanation of, well, she's missed, but she ends up having solid feet that does this. I'm like,
so it knocks her down, I guess.
Yeah,
so
because he
powers.
says, since she's missed, she was afraid of phasing into the ground, so that'd be solid. So that knocked her down, and then she's not that. And then I bit her. That's when you have the monkeys. Like, this guy only bites people. And then you even have Bailey say to the guy, sorry, I bit your monkey, which is kind of sexy.
It is fun seeing Emperor Bailey or whatever he is here at the end, like in his gown.
They end up where they're like, oh, so what are you going to do? What do you have to do? And they're like, well, and he even says to one guy, what would you do if you were there? He's like, I'd just go around helping. Well, I'm going to put you in charge of that, but I have money now. Again, almost playing like he's poor, though. I saw that apartment, but he says, ramen for everyone. And they go to eat ramen, including Holcat, who's upset. But they're kind of sitting together, and I like them all together. I wish that this was the idea that they all had, like, we don't have anywhere to stay. I want them to go back. And Spider-Girl has the big hat. That's what she got. She kind of likes it.
Yeah,
she goes, I got a sweet crown out of this. And then you tie things up where they did have that vehicle deal that they stole.
The blind guy's driving.
Yeah, the blind guy, again. And then they're going to go give it back to the guy and give him money. So it all ties in. So he's like, yeah, we're going to get home. And that's where you end up, where the mom comes home and sees Boy Spider, who obviously is not Bailey. You can see with the crazy look.
The eyes,
and she has
teeth.
No idea. She's like, oh, Bailey, you came back. What'd you do? A teleporter? And the big thing is that he calls the mom Mama. So that's how you can tell him. And I guess by the time Bailey comes, he'll probably have morphed into exactly Bailey. But at this point, maybe the mom should
could barely string 5 words together. Now he's talking full sentences. This guy.
He's like, yes, what you said. Yes, the teleporter. All that matters is I am home now, Mama. And then she should at least say at the end, like, wait a minute, Bailey doesn't call me Mama. Oh, no. And
we'll see how she reacts to it.
The cat likes Boy Spider because the cat was, part of the deal. And the actual cat will probably end up being the mother to Boy Spider now that I think of it, because it was the cat and the mom combined that ended up raising Boy Spider.
No,
and
you're
I'm
right.
guessing that the cat would just be there, and they go off, and then he's like eating cat food and, I don't know, taking a crap in a litter box. That's all he'll be taught. But by the end, that's what you get. Also, in a weird deal, looks like the mom bought like Barbasol shaving cream.
Man, who's buying that?
Yeah, I guess Bailey might be shaving soon.
Well, it leaves it rusts and it leaves a little ring on where you put it.
It's the worst.
It sucks.
I think I had a can like through my whole years at college. Like
One
it was
can.
the same one.
Yeah.
And it just rusted. I left it there. Probably still there to this day. But what would you give this?
I still like this a lot, man. It's still my favorite thing going at Marvel. I'd give this one an 8, I think.
I'm going to give it a 7.
Yeah,
I think I've been like, the lowest I think I've gone is like 6, though. And
yeah, probably.
Again, people end up, and I say this every time. I say this when we talk about the Ultimate X-Men or whatever. First off, it's our own opinions. It's not, that we're saying everybody needs to enjoy it. But there is differences between when you're reviewing something like this, an Amazing Spider-Man or event book. You know what I'm saying? That this is what it is. This is
just a nice surprise. I mean, that's all this is.
Yeah, it is. And I think that most people who have read it enjoy it enough. And like you said, I think it is a surprise that it's gone this long. And it actually did get better as it went on. The first arc was rough. It really was. But now things are even tying together in a way that I think that it's probably going to end sometime soon.
I don't know. I like that it's keeping on going and not being reset with number ones and all that nonsense. And also I like that it is a Nick Lowe joint, but I think he has zero to do with this. I think Dan Slotprice said, don't listen, dude. I'm doing what I want to do, and just stay in your lane, buddy.
And I mean, here's the thing. The next issue's cover is Bailey jumping around, eating, a hot dog from Papaya Loca and drinking a soda, and that's all you need. that actually, it's one of those.
No,
books
it's
that has
a
that.
cool down issue. An Eric Shea cool down issue.
We'll have to see with Boy Spider and stuff like that. But again, one of the things that was a really loose end was Boy Spider. He was just bailing. They bailed on him.
And also everybody else at that farm, too.
Yeah, so I think that's the connection of how, by the end of this series, you're going to have to kind of tie that up a bit. Remember Christina, and I couldn't remember her name. Christina, she said, "Oh, you're going to go back to the farm?" The mom's like, "I don't know, maybe someday." But also, we have one other thing to tie up. The idea that Christina's parents are pieces of shit. We can do that eventually.
We need a resolution for that.
Yeah, they were the worst. And really, Bailey's mom's now, she's kind of going that route as well. But it's just the setup stuff. But that is it. That is it for this week. More books than we've had in a bit.
And there were more to talk about, too, that we didn't,
Yeah,
so.
and you didn't realize, I saw it the last second, there's an Eddie Brock Carnage deal. I like Eddie Brock, and Charles Soule's doing it, so I usually at least check some things out by him. So maybe I'll get a hold of Gray, because me and Gray did the new Champions at one point. Maybe,
that'd be cool. Reinforce it with some other people.
The deal with
There's also the controversial last issue of the Rob Liefeld team-up book.
Yeah.
He's actually in it.
Did you read it? Did you look at it?
No. He's in it.
I'm expecting that thing to just be destroyed by that. Like, he is so angry that I can't think that he doesn't end giving the finger to Marvel, because he is so angry at Marvel and DC. I saw he just doesn't like either. He thinks they're both crap.
And then the Deadpool Wolverine #2, which we might have talked about. We did the first one, but whatever.
I thought that was kind of boring.
Yeah.
And then Sam Wilson Cap, if you want to see Red Hulk, he's in that. He's on the cover, but I didn't like the first issue. There was a lot of people standing around talking. That barbecue. Cap was there, and he's like, I don't know what's going on here. Like, nobody invited anybody else. It was all people just standing around looking at Cap. But so you have that. But we'll see. We'll see what we do next week, and we might even add some stuff. So we might be going off to the end here for me and you, and that'll be it. Or we might come back with some more stuff. We'll see. I'll talk to Gray when we're done. But thanks for joining me, Matt. Thanks, everybody, for listening, and we'll talk to you all later.
You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.